Today we're going to have a ton of fun. I'm going to be joined by my friend and former guest, John Doherty, who's going to be showing up from time to time, hanging out with us, as well as 1985 first-round draft pick Willie Fraser. Stay tuned. Welcome back to 90 Feet Away. Today is a special day. I am joined by my personal friend and former guest, John Doherty. And today we welcome New York's own former first-round draft pick, Willie Fraser. Willie, I can't thank you enough for being with us this morning. John and I have been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks now, and we know we're taking you away from work, so thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We start out born and raised in Newburgh. Is that the case, Willie? I know you grew up in Newburgh.
Yeah, I'm born in New York City. But yeah, I moved up to Newburgh when I was like, I think 6 or 7. I mean, well, my parents moved up there. I just went with them, type of thing.
You were born and raised in the city. I mean, you know, that's a long time ago for your parents to choose a place like Newburgh. Do you know how that happened?
Honestly, I do not, but I'm glad it did. I mean, it was a great place to grow up. A lot of diversity there, and I felt like it put me in a good place moving forward.
Do you still reside there in the off season?
I live across the river down in Poughkeepsie, which growing up in Newburgh, if you would have told me I was going to live in Poughkeepsie, I would have told you you're out of your mind when I get older, because Newburgh is a little crazy. Poughkeepsie's a little crazier at times. But I live on the commerce side of Poughkeepsie, which is okay. So,
and is that where you raised your family?
No, I lived in Southern California for 23 years. I was so smart that when I got divorced, I moved back to New York after living in Laguna Beach, because that's terrible there. Nobody wants to be there. You know, so I'll just move back and shovel snow and do stupid like that. So,
I love it.
That's the Concordia College common sense right there.
Yeah, working finest.
We had a kind of a similar, you know, I was born in the Bronx, lived in the Bronx for 7 years, and moved to Westchester County. And again, best thing that ever happened to me, especially for my sports career, just with the, you know, Eastchester thriving with the sports program. So it was a huge blessing for me.
No doubt.
And I was born in the Bronx and didn't get out of the Bronx until I was married. So It did nothing for me. Anyhow, Willie, I ask this a lot. You know, at what age did you realize you were pretty good at this game?
I could throw hard when I was younger, and you know, I started playing when I was 8, and I could throw hard. I didn't know I wanted to pitch. I just, like every other kid, just, hey, we're going to throw it hard all the time because we can. That's fun. So I think it you know, honestly, when I started in high school, my high school, I was at a Catholic school my freshman year. So I'm at a Catholic school. They didn't even have baseball. I was playing basketball and soccer, which, forget it. I'm glad that stopped, because that's way too much friggin' running. But the baseball part of it, the school happened to close my freshman year. So I had to go to the public school, which was great for me because they had all the sports that I wanted. And so that's when I was in high school, I started to feel like I had a chance to do something. But honestly, I liked football better. I had more scholarships for football, but, you know, I knew I was white and not very fast, so it wasn't going to work out for me.
What position did you play in football?
I played like a rover.
Okay.
Yeah.
You liked hitting people?
I did. Better than getting hit. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Willie's definitely one of those kind of guys.
So if you had more offers and more interest in football, what attracted you to baseball? I mean, it's a hard sport. It's a really difficult sport.
Well, by then I was throwing harder. I was, you know, like, I don't even know. It's not like it is now. I mean, the only reason I knew I threw like 86, 87 in high school was because my father, one day, there was a state trooper that pulled up when we were playing. And the guy took his gun out and told my father what I was throwing. That's the only way we knew it. Nobody knew.
That's a story.
Nobody knew anything. So And I knew that I was not going to make anything out of football. And as John well knows, I wasn't going to school to be a student. So my goal was to go to a sport that I knew that I had a chance to play professionally.
Okay, so knowing that we don't know a whole lot about velocity right back then, how do you get to Concordia College? Like, how does that happen? From Newburgh, did you have other schools talking to you?
Oh, yeah. I talked to several schools. I mean, I had Texas Tech, Texas, New Mexico, all these schools sending me letters and talking to the coaches. I went to James Madison and saw that school. And then I'm like, like I said, I wasn't a student, didn't want to be in school to go to school. And Concordia, the program that the coach, Zacalillo, he was probably one of the best recruiters because our team we had like 7 guys drafted out of Concordia College. I think it was less than 500 students. So, I mean, you're talking about with John, myself, Scott Leas, we all get to the big leagues. There's 5 guys that made it to the big leagues out of that little school, which is unheard of.
Unheard of.
And a whole bunch more played minor league ball, a whole bunch more.
A whole bunch more, yeah. So, I mean, but the opportunity was there. I wanted to be away, but I didn't want to be that far away. So it gave me like an hour and 20 minutes away so I can get home if I needed to.
So that was kind of my question. So at that point, you don't see a career in baseball yet. You know you're going to play in college because had you seen it, I mean, would you have thought, well, maybe I should go to Texas Tech, take school a little bit more serious because Concordia wasn't exactly the hotbed of baseball?
No, I was under the belief, honestly, that it didn't matter where I went, that they would, if I was good enough, they would come and find you. And with the guys that were in front of me, there was the guy, Pat Saida, that was in front of me that got drafted by the Blue Jays the year before, like 4th round, I believe. And so him being there, and then that gave me more opportunity that people would be there to see him. So that would give me a chance to be out there and be seen. So it just it was a fit. And it was funny because my wife now, we were together in high school, and she got a letter from Concordia, and I laughed at her when she got it. I go, Concordia, where the hell is that? Never heard of it. And then I wind up going there. So, but yeah, it was, again, I'm glad I went there. I could have gone to other schools and been a little fish in a big pond. And this gave me a chance to be a little bit bigger of a fish in a smaller pond and to be seen.
Willie, did you play a lot of baseball when you were younger?
Yeah.
I always tell people I played in the local leagues, and that was about it, like summer leagues, Cape Cod, all that stuff. Did you do any of those fancy leagues?
ACBL was all I did. So I played for, because our pitching coach, Holtz, he was part of the Generals my first year, after my freshman year. And I played in that league. We played at Columbia. And then the next year I played for TNEC before I got drafted. But I didn't play any higher than that. We played against them in the All-Star game, Cape Cod.
Willie's referencing Steve Holtz, who was drafted out of Concordia College by the Blue Jays, I believe, Willie.
Yes.
And then when he went for his physical, they found out he had Hodgkin's.
Ooh.
And wound up, not getting signed and staying on as a pitching coach at Concordia College for several years until he passed away. And I know he meant a lot to Willie.
Yeah.
And did a lot for him.
It's just such a different time, Willie. I know, and we're going to get to it. Believe me, perfect game, scouting, tournaments. Like, you guys did this blind, right? Like, dude, I was good enough, and they found me.
Yeah.
Today, you got parents of 9-year-old kids driving from New York to Texas to get their kids rated as 9-year-olds. How crazy does that seem to you?
They're nuts. They're freaking nuts. I mean, I do this. I do a lot of lessons in the wintertime with kids. And I mean, and I'll get parents will call me and they'll go, "You doing pitching lessons?" I said, "I am." I said, "How old's your kid?" They go, 8. I said, "Does he have any friends?" And they go, "What?" I said, "Does he have any friends?" And they go, "What do you?" "Yeah, okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go buy him a glove and buy his friend a glove and get a dozen baseballs and send them outside.
Yeah,
we'll save money. Let them go out and do what they need to do. They'll figure it out, just like we figured it out. We didn't have any, there was no lessons. There was none of that stuff for us. It was just like, here. I mean, my high school coach, great guy, didn't teach us. I mean, bend your back. You're not following through. That was the type of crap we got.
What did they know? What did they know back then, right? My dad was an accountant for Rheingold Beer, right?
Yeah.
We lived in the Bronx. We would drive over to Whitestone. There was a place called like Adventurers Inn or something in Queens. He would bring a pocket of quarters, and my hands would be bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't tell me anything other than until I was hitting balls, like then we could go home. Dripping blood. And he tried his best, right? None of this stuff existed. Do you have 8 and 9-year-olds asking you for like velo programs and stuff?
I don't have any 8 or 9-year-olds because I don't do them. I send them other places. But I try to stay with the high school kids and older. It's just, 8 or 9-year-olds, you get about 2 minutes to get something through to them, and that's it. And then they're gone. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the parents that need to relax.
The biggest problem today that you didn't have, none of us had, is video games. They think they're learning baseball playing video games.
Right.
And what we try to impress upon people is if you play Fortnite or whatever you play 20 hours a week and you hit for a half hour, you're going to be a really good Fortnite player.
Right. That's right.
You're not going to be able to hit, right?
Right.
But the days of sending your kids outside for free play, it doesn't exist anymore.
Everything's organized. Everything's organized now. It's crazy. It's funny. I have a little bit of different approach, Willie. Like I said, with the younger kids, I don't mind. I mean, yes, 7, 8, it's a little tough at times. But I've noticed over the years working with kids as well, 9, 10 years old, trying to get them throwing the ball correctly earlier on, as opposed to trying to, when they come to me 15, 16, and try and fix all their mistakes and bad habits that they have. So the attention span, it's a little tough at time, and I let the parent know if you think your kid can handle it. I'm not looking to steal your money or anything like that.
Right.
So so if you think he can handle it, let's go for it. I'm going to give him some homework to do when he leaves. If he's not doing it, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. You got to put the effort in, you got to put the time in practice, and start creating some good habits and breaking the old ones.
Yeah, we I'm with a couple other guys, a younger guy that I'll direct the younger kids to him. I just don't, I've got enough, my hands are full as it is at times, so I try to get them with other guys that are around that I trust, like Jimmy Tailgater is another guy, David Tailgater's brother. Him and I do lessons together, and so he'll take the younger kids, and then when they start to get a little better, then I'll take them and go from there once they get to about 13, 14.
Willie, can we talk a little bit about the scouting now? So you're with the Royals now, correct?
Yeah.
Right? With the Royals now. How many different teams have you scouted for over the years now?
This is 7. I'm going for the record. I don't know what the record is, but I'm going for the friggin' record.
There you go. So when Eric and I did the show a couple weeks back when I was a guest and talking about my career and such, he was kind enough to say that I wouldn't have gotten drafted in today's world.
Nice.
So it is what it is. I went home, I cried in the pillow for a little while, but it is what it is. And I understand where he's come from, and I probably tend to agree. I'm not going to ask about yourself because, again, you did throw the ball a little bit harder than me for sure. And but what are they looking for these days? I know we had a brief chat a couple days ago about you're looking for people to get people out. If they throw 95, that's a beautiful thing. But if they're getting people out, that's pretty cool, and that's what we're looking for. So is that the case these days, or do you still have to throw 95 to get drafted?
No, I think Maddox kind of came out a couple of years ago and said, look, it's great to be able to throw 95 and throw hard. 95 gets you drafted. But if you can pitch, that's how you get to the big leagues. It's not about throwing 95. We've all seen those guys. These guys are throwing 95 to 100, can't throw it in the gym. That's great. You know what he is? He's a guy with a good arm. That's all he is. He's not helping anybody get anybody out. He'll get more chances than the guy that's throwing 90. I think the game is starting to turn back a little bit in terms of pitching and valuing pitching a little bit more. We were so far away from that, and it's a shame because this is what has happened in the youth game with the colleges. The colleges all jam this down their throat. Velocity, velocity, velocity. So these kids are all doing these stupid velocity programs, and they're blown out. They think it's a rite of passage to have Tommy John surgery. That's craziness. I mean, one of my best attributes is I did not get hurt. My 15 years of pro ball, I never spent a day on the disabled list. So because I knew I couldn't, I would have been Wally pipped before I knew it. I would have been done. They would have kicked me to the curb. So I was always ready. I was always available. These guys now, they need a mental break. What are you shitting me? Well, what is that? I don't even know
Really,
what that means.
it is why I'm so thankful you brought up Greg Maddux. I'm 58 years old. Greg Maddux was like my favorite guy I ever watched pitch, because he was every man's guy, right? He was a normal guy, 88 to 91, ball moved, but he could hit a dime off a pylon from 60 feet, 6 inches away. Is he getting looked at today?
Well, Maddux, I played against Maddux my first year in pro ball. And he was in Peoria, and I was in Quad Cities. And, he threw harder. He was like, low 90s. He could touch almost 95, I believe. But, I mean, he learned that's not really going to do it. I can do this, and get these guys looking 2 different ways. And then he could pitch back and forth. He can change speed so well. And he, there's stories about him, which is amazing. This guy's, he's a Hall of Famer. So, but I guess Bobby Cox came out to the mound one time and was going to take him out. And he goes, Bobby, no, I got this. He goes, I tell you, this is exactly how this is going to happen. I'm going to throw this pitch, and this pitch. And then on the 4th pitch, he's going to pop up to the third baseman. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But he could see weaknesses. He could see how I'm going to attack this guy, and I mean, and he knew when to turn it up and when to back off. I was listening to something the other night, and it said it was Tony Gwynn's son. And we were talking, and he goes, yeah, Maddux just said, throw it down the middle. Because if you try to throw it one side, he's going to hit it over there. Make him make a decision, throw it down the middle and see what happens. But this is this guy. I mean, he's a competitor like no one else.
One of my favorite lines ever was, "I got really good when I stopped trying to miss their bats and I started to try and hit their bats." Right,
exactly.
And that's where the whole, like I said, the 88-91, he kind of dialed it down to have more precision in his game. Really quick, crazy story for you, Willie. I'm in Hong Kong, and I'm doing business there. I'm there for 3 weeks. I stop in Hawaii. I'm with the owner of my company. This is 30 years ago. And we take a catamaran out for 5 hours with like 2 other couples. It's him and I and then 2 couples. And we get back to shore, and the captain goes, "Hey, you guys aren't baseball fans, huh?" I go, "What do you mean? I'm a huge baseball guy." He goes, "Well, you just spent 5 hours on the boat with Greg Maddux, didn't even talk to him." He was the nerdiest looking, pot belly, wire rim glasses, dude. Yeah. I was nuts. I couldn't believe I myself so bad on that one, man.
I thought you were Lasana Haraho or something. You didn't realize who you were. I think Greg Maddux. Jeez.
Let's go back to Willie for a while.
Let me ask you a question though. So, just make a statement. Like you're talking about with the Maddux in and out. Like that's what I think. A lot of things coaches aren't teaching kids. When a guy's up in the box, back in the box, outside of the plate, crowding the plate, their swing, the arc of their swing, how different ways that you could pitch them. I think that's a lost thing. Coaches don't go over that stuff enough. Kids are just, like I said, just winging the ball, not really looking at the hitter and trying to figure things out all the time. Cal Ripken was a guy all the time. Every time I faced him, like, it would be in the same at bat. He'd be in a different part of the batter's box. Sure. In the same at bat. Like, he was just in a funk or whatever. I'm like, okay, he's moving out here. I'm going to throw a ball out. Now he crowds me. Okay, now I'm going to throw it in. Like, things like that, I think kids really need to start learning, and coaches need to start teaching some more of that.
I agree, John. I think that, in the pro game, I see it a lot, and we saw it. We went through a stage where, and we're still in it, that we have a bunch of coaches that didn't play, or they coach in a facility and then they come over to the pro side. And I can tell you right now, the easiest thing in the world is to coach in a facility. Nothing easier, because if you're bad, come on back next week, or Greg, you need an extra lesson and we'll figure it out. Right? We're not pitching for our life. We're just trying to refine some things. Right? So. And all of a sudden you throw these guys into the mix, and they've never felt what we felt out there. and you're going to go out there and tell him what? His vertical shin angle is off. I mean, nobody wants to hear that. Tell me how the hell I can get this guy out, please, because I'm for my life right now.
I love when the pitch comes out, a pitching coach, hey, I'm just giving you a blow. Take a deep breath. All right, go get this guy out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wait, dude, I just threw footballs at all. Help me out. What am I doing wrong? I don't need a blow. I just need to figure out what I'm doing wrong, dude. Help me out.
Can you give me the answer key, please? Because that's what I'm looking for right now. If you can give me that, that'd be great.
And where the analytics does help a little bit, I just saw this yesterday, right? Everybody's talking about Skeens. This kid Skeens, he's electric. If this kid can stay healthy, he's electric.
Yep.
He blows Ohtani away 3 pitches in a row. And then what does Ohtani do in his next at bat? Makes an adjustment and hits him dead center like 420.
Yeah.
And Skeens takes his hat off, right? Really just nothing but compliments after the game. That's where maybe if I'm using analytics, I have iPads in the dugout. What did I do my first at bat, right? When you guys played, when I was young, we didn't have that stuff. Like you said, these were volunteer dads, man.
Yeah. Analytics. Yeah, there was no analytics. And you know what? It was, in my mind, it was better. The analytics help. There's no doubt. There's room for all of it. I'm bombarded with analytics in my job now.
So one of my favorite things that I've spoken about, Willie, was a couple weeks ago I had on Ian Kinsler. I had the privilege of coaching him in the Olympics a couple of years ago, and after an outstanding career, he works with the Texas Rangers now, and what he does, and it's like one of those special assistant type jobs. But I think they've started to figure it out a little bit more, because what they do now is they get the handoff from the nerds, right? The analytics guys basically hand it over to Ian. Yep. Then Ian will study these guys. He'll watch them play. He'll see if they have the knowledge, the intangibles, the heart, the balls, and then they try to put it together. For me, I think that's kind of where analytics fits in, because it can't be one or the other in 2024. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that we have gotten to the point now where, and I think that it's, like I said, there's been some changes with things where they're starting to understand that, you can't give everybody the same exact package and think that it's going to be okay, because you're going to paralyze guys. And that's what happens. These guys, hell, if you would have given me a packet like they give these guys, I would have just laid down in the corner and cried. Because it's a lot of shit. So, but give it to the coaches, give it to guys that understand it, and then let them decide what this guy can handle or not. There's different guys that can handle different things. Some guys, they thrive with it. Other guys, you paralyze them, and you just kind of, they get nothing out of it. So what do? They just throw it in the corner and they don't care about it, right? Probably what I would have been, that guy. But this is how they're starting to understand. We just can't tell them this is how, I love it when they go, well, when you throw your fastball up in the zone, you get a lot of success. Yeah, I get that. But I didn't just throw my fastball up in the zone. I got there by doing this, and then I threw it up in the zone. That's how it works. I can't just sit there and throw fastballs up in the zone. It doesn't work that way.
So Willie, we spoke a little bit and maybe gave a little bit of hope for some of these pitchers not having to throw 95, right? So We'll see if that is the case, and see if the game does change a little bit. What about scouting? Because there's going to be a lot of kids listening to this. What about position players? Is anything changing there? You still got to run as fast as you can. You still got to hit home runs. All that kind of stuff. Anything changing for a position player that they need to work on to be seen?
Yeah, I think that, I've listened to a lot of guys, and I've talked to some of the amateur guys, and the one thing that kind of hit me was like, you got to love the game. And you got to play the game like you love the game. You have to get out there and don't walk to your position. Don't do stupid things that are going to look bad. You're there for 2-3 hours, out of your day. Well, play like you want to play. And if you don't want to play, stop playing. It's as simple as that. When you're walking out to your position, when you hit a fly ball and you jog down the line and you're 10 or 12 or 15, whatever you are, that looks like crap. It doesn't look good, and nobody wants to see that.
I tell people all the time, Willie, Ramon Pena was the guy that signed me, and we had a conversation like, you know why I signed you? I'm like, I got a good sinker. Like I was like, I was thrown off, and he said all the things that he watched when I wasn't pitching. So after I was done pitching that game, I'd come back after our 3-4 mile course that we had at Concordia around the Bronxville streets. But I'd come back soaking wet as a puddle, go in, change, and I'd be the first guy standing right next to the fence cheering on every single teammate. I was coaching first base. Way before Derek Jeter was high-fiving the guys just coming around home plate, I was the guy doing that on my team, stuff like that. And he says that's the stuff that he noticed, that I was a team player and I was a team leader. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I tell all my kids all the time, you never know who's watching you. That's how I was taught, too, by legendary coach Tom Ciceri. You never know who's watching you. And so, like you're saying, play the game like you're loving it. It's like it's the last time you're ever going to play the game.
That's right.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like Pete McCannon, who managed the Phillies for a while back, and he was my manager in Ottawa one year, and he said, and we were still hitting, pitchers were hitting, so he said, listen, I do not want to see you guys run a 5 down to first base. You guys, he goes, it's 3 times maybe in a game that you're going to have to freaking put the ball in play and run. He goes, it's not that hard. Run. You're supposed to be in the best shape. You don't have to sprint, but look like you're an athlete. Don't look like you're freaking just walking around up there. And he goes, and the position players, he was like, you guys, 3, 4, 5 times you have to run. Yeah, I get it. Guys get mad. And it's, and they're playing 162 games. It's hard. But if you watch the big league guys, a lot of them will run all the time. Then you go down to the minor leagues and you watch them, and you get guys just jogging, and I'm like, you guys are so stupid. You don't even watch the game. Pay attention. These guys try hard. It's a try. You got to do things. You have to be good all the time.
But you talked about loving the game. One of my biggest things, Willie, is you can't fake that, right? You can't fake love and passion and effort and attitude. Like, they saw John was a good guy. Like those, even when I'm recruiting, I coach a 17U team now. And it's crazy because I only have them for a summer of 7-8 weeks, but I'm recruiting kids and I'm recruiting families as well. And I'm only spending 8 weeks with them. These college coaches are hopefully going to spend 4 years with these kids. Who are the parents? Where do they come from? What values are they being taught, right? I don't believe John just showed up at Concordia and was that guy. I think John's parents had a lot to do with it. And I think in 2024, that's changed a lot too.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, when we get drafted, what do they do? They want to meet the parents before they draft you. They want to come into your house if they can come into your house and see what kind of environment you grew up in or, how you were raised.
Not when you're 19th round pick, Willie. I'm sorry.
They don't?
Not 19th round. First round, maybe.
First round, yeah, they come.
I got $1,000 signing bonus. They really don't care about my parents.
Yeah, they came to Newburgh a couple times, and they were like, yeah, all right. And the funny thing was they were like, both of my parents were like 5'9" and 5'5". I was adopted. So I'm like, yeah, it's great. That's my dad and mom. But, yeah, how come you're so big? I don't know. You're going to have to
Wait. Did you not know you were adopted at that age?
No, I knew the whole time. They would just say to me,
okay,
oh, your parents aren't very big. How did you get your size? I don't know. You're going to have to find my biological parents to find that out, Chief. I can't help you.
That's a funny story.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's not for now, but long story short, my brother's about 5'9" and a half. Mm-hmm. I was 6'2", Willie. At 30 years old.
He was.
I'm shrinking now. At 30 years old, my mother just happens to lay on me that I was the 3rd ever artificial insemination. So I have no idea who my biological dad is, but now it made sense. And I look nothing like my brother. He's not, really athletic, but he's a lot brighter than I am.
We know he had small calves, though. He biological father.
Yeah. No, but yeah, my biological father definitely had lollipop sticks for calves.
The calf wrestler got him.
All right, let's ask Willie about being a first-round draft pick. I don't know many.
I was just going to that, and I wanted to ask about his career in Japan too, because that's fascinating to me. But you obviously got drafted in '85. You're in the big leagues right away in '86. Do you think you should have been in the big leagues that soon? We talk about different people that we know personally that wow, they rushed this kid or they rushed that guy.
Right.
Do you think that was good for your career or not good for your career getting there so fast?
I think I could have used a little more time in the minor leagues. I was learning on the fly. I mean, again, we're playing at Concordia College, John.
Yeah, right.
We got a rock in the right field, or in a hill.
It's still there, Willie.
Now I'm sitting in Yankee Stadium going, you got to be me with this.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm looking up third base. Winfield's standing at third, and I'm like, good Lord, look at this mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, 6'6", freaking his bicep was like this long. I'm like, what the hell? And this guy's a beast, and I was just facing somebody against Pace 2 weeks ago. And now I got to face these guys.
My first big league strikeout, by the way, Dave Winfield. Just
nice.
On a really bad slider.
Yeah, well, if it backed up, you got him.
But my third baseman was standing on the grass. I'm not even kidding. Travis Fry was standing on the grass. I'm going back and forth. I'm like, there's something doesn't seem right here. What if he bunts? He's like,
not bunting,
buddy.
He's not bunting.
So,
yeah, I mean,
so you get signed and you get pulled up. I mean, well, this crazy stuff, right? Like you were drafted ahead of Randy Johnson, John Smoltz, big names.
Really messed up. Yeah.
You scouts know what the hell you're doing.
What the hell?
No wonder you got a job scouting, Willie. That
Are you out of your
minds? So has scouting gotten better since then?
I hope so. Jesus Christ. I mean, I go back and I look at that, and you look at the list of guys that I got drafted with. It's a pretty impressive list. I mean, Bonds, Larkin, B.J. Surhoff, Bobby Witt, Walt Weiss, Palmeiro, Randy Johnson, Smoltz. I mean, these are dudes. These are Hall of Fame dudes. And Bonds was in that. Larkin was in that. It was just nuts. I mean, these guys. I mean, and I didn't not feel like I belonged there. I felt like after my first half season, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I got my ass handed to me in freaking A-ball. And I'm sure they were going, what the hell is this all about? It wasn't until I went to spring training and I was invited to go to Major League Camp. So I went to Major League Camp and I got to watch Mike Witt, Don Sutton, John Candelaria, guys like that. And I just watched them throw their bullpens. And the stuff they could do while they were throwing their bullpens, I'm like, I get it. I need to be better at this. I need to be able to throw my slider now, not just when, normally you would throw it behind an account, be able to throw it to both sides of the plate. You have to be able to get in. You have to pitch in. Things like that I started to watch was like eye-opening for me. Now all of a sudden I'm like, because, let's face it, when we were in college, we faced some decent hitters, but you're talking about now, these are elite hitters that you're facing every day. And you're like
1 through 9.
Yeah. There's no give, right, John? So, you're sitting out there and you're going, how am I, there are times when you're sitting out there and you're going, I don't know what I'm going to get this guy out with because I don't really have anything in my bag that's going to work. So I got to make some up here, right? It's not a good feeling either when you're out there going, oh, Jesus. Don't hit it at me. Whatever you do, you can kill somebody else, just not me. But yeah, I mean, you learning all that and then being able to go out there and having enough confidence in yourself that you can pull that off, because I think that's part of it. Guys can will themselves through things at that level because they're talented enough to do that. Where, we go back to the high school kids, they're just not they're not there yet. And the good ones, they just show up and they know they're good.
Really, if you can, just briefly. I mean, people always ask me my biggest asset of pitching and just playing professional sports and stuff. Eric always asked my flexibility. That was one of my biggest assets as a pitcher. But mentally, I think was what was my toughest thing. Like you said, you get into you in your first year in the minor leagues, like how dejected, like where's the nearest bus? Let me get home. Let me get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like to stay mentally tough through all the ups and downs that baseball brings, especially at that level. You know, I don't want to go back to Newburgh and be a failure. I don't want to go back to Eastchester and be a failure. You know, I remember getting sent down after having a hip injury. I got off a plane in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the next plane next to me, the next gate was heading to LaGuardia in 20 minutes. So I'm like, do I get on this flight and go home, or what do I do? And I'm like, I can't quit. I can't be a loser. I got, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like just to be mentally tough. If you could talk just a little bit about that.
You know, John, it's funny, you know, and I'll go back to Concordia. You know, Newburgh was Newburgh, and it was not an easy place to grow up. I mean, like I said, there was a lot of diversity there. And it made me tougher. But going to Concordia and being around the guys that I was around, all these kids coming from the Bronx, the Saidas, you know, the Nunziatas, all these guys, they thought differently than I did. It was a little bit different thinking. So I had to get caught up to where they were if I wanted to be there. So now fast forward to get drafted, and it's like, you've been through tougher shit with these guys. You know, you've been through things. You can do this. You just have to figure out how to do this. And yes, it's it's hard. I mean, funny, my first year in the big leagues, it was almost like I didn't know anybody, but I knew everybody. So they didn't know me. So I could take advantage of that. So I had a really good first season in the big leagues. I caught myself the second year looking at the name on the back instead of worrying about just the name on the front. And being able to have enough confidence in yourself to get through that, it's not like we talk about it all the time in scouting. It's this game is not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy game. You're going to fail a lot. There's a lot of failure in this game. You have to freaking have enough intestinal fortitude to be able to push through that. And I don't know if there's anything that you can do. You either have it or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, you better find it if you want to play this game for any period of time.
That's what's so crazy, right? From the time you guys played, and I'm your age, there was no such thing as mental health, right? There were no mental health coaches. Every level, as far as I know, from AA at least, every team travels with a mental health coach today.
Yeah. Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I think mental health is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you were your mental health coach.
You didn't have, there was no, I mean, we didn't even recognize a concussion, let alone mental health. I mean, you get hit in the head, you get in there and they'll give you some ammonia salts and you get your ass back out on the mountain. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And you're seeing stars. But there was none of that, you know. And then as I started to play, the longer I played, then you started to see it trickling down if some of these guys start to show up. You know, and some of the better guys, Ken Revises of the world, that, you know, that's what they did. Now they're everywhere. Well, hell, they have everything now. They've got somebody that makes sure they're eating the right food. The spread, Johnny, how about that? I remember being in AAA and the pregame spread was peanut butter and jelly and crackers, and that's if we had crackers.
AAA, that was the Tigers in the big leagues. Tigers in the big leagues, we had one of the Coca-Cola fridges. You opened up, and there was 6 Tupperwares of cold cuts and a Wonder Bread. And that's kind of like, I just saw that on the Yes Network a couple of weeks ago. They were showing like they just opened up the new, I'm going to call it a restaurant because it looked like a restaurant for the players. Like they eat like kings.
This is in the minor leagues now like that.
I know. Someone asked me the other day my favorite pregame meal. I go, like, whatever was close to the park. Like, it was McDonald's, I had McDonald's. It was Burger King, I had Burger. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable now. I mean, so I guess it's a good thing as long as it's not used as a crutch at the same time, in my mind. I mean, the mental side of it is real. And I agree. There people have problems. You know, we had those same problems. It wasn't recognized, or it wasn't even talked about, really. And I remember I get to the big leagues and I throw a bullpen and Reggie Jackson's on my team, right? So Reggie Jackson's in the training room that day, and I come in after I throw a bullpen and I'm going to get ice. And I walk in there and Reggie goes, "The hell are you doing in here?" Now, mind you, I'm 22 years old, so, you know, and Reggie's not 22 at this time. So I go, I just threw a bullpen. I was just going to get some ice. He goes, ice. Ice is for drinks. Get out. What? Yeah, no, you're not getting it. All right, I'll ice tomorrow. That's fine. And then I walked back outside. This is just the way it was. You're not going to question those guys. They're trying to instill what they learned. And if they had it hard, you're going to have it hard. And you learn to sit in the corner and shut the hell up. Big ears, little mouth. Nobody wants to hear your nonsense because you don't know anything. And I think that's all changed now. This is all different now. This world now, these guys get to the big leagues.
So how different is it, Willie? Like, listen, public knowledge, right? I guess you just turned 60.
Yeah.
Happy belated, by the way.
Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
Last week.
It hurts a little bit, but yeah.
Hey, you're close to the Social Security, dude.
Yeah.
How different when you're scouting?
Yeah.
Is it looking at high school kids, college kids? Like, what do you specialize in anything? Are you watching indie ball? Like, what are you doing? And how difficult is it to relate to the different age groups that you're looking at?
So I'm only in pro ball. I just do the pro side. So this year my role is I have the AL and NL East, big leagues, and AAA. That's all I'm looking at. So the first 2 months I watched all of AAA. Now I'm in the big leagues for the next 2 months. And I'm just looking for trades. I'm looking for guys that can make us better. And to kind of, here we go, the analytics, to kind of help the analytics and understand, well, the analytics are saying this. This is what I'm seeing from this guy right now. This is how this is done. So I'm dealing with guys that are already there, or guys that are getting there or coming back down, one or the other. Maybe these guys are blocked, and we can take advantage of that, But the amateur side's a hard side. That's a hard gig. And now they've cut the rounds out. They're down to 20 rounds. I mean, that's there's guys that you're missing, in my opinion. There's a lot of guys that we're missing, and we're taking, and we've taken stuff, and it kind of is upsetting because we've taken away 60 teams. So we've taken away a lot of teams. Like the freaking Penn League is no more the Penn League, right? So those are towns that we have just kind of crushed in that process because that's what they lived for, that team, right? So you go up there, and that's how it used to be.
So then how does a kid that doesn't make it in those first 20 rounds get seen and possibly get picked up on a pro team?
Independent ball. You got to go play indie ball. I mean, and indie
there's
ball.
A lot of scouts there?
There's scouts, yeah. Not a lot, but there's scouts, and you'll be seen. I mean, I just got done watching Toronto, so Trevor Richards, who's one of their relievers, I think he's got 7 years or 8 years in the big leagues now, came out of independent ball. He was a non-drafted free agent that signed, and when I was with the Marlins, we picked him up and started in A-ball and worked his way up, and and now he's getting it done. But there's guys because we've lost a team, everybody lost at least one team, that we have to find them.
That's what I was just going to say, Willie. That's even gotten harder too because with the contraction, those guys now are looking for jobs in indie ball.
That's right.
Right? So there's a lot of indie ball guys looking to play anywhere in the country, anywhere they can play.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's hard. It's freaking hard. I mean, and we continue to find ways to make it harder for some reason, and I don't know why. I mean, there are good players that are not getting an opportunity, and I'm sure of that. Because I mean, we talk about this from time to time with different guys, different scouts. I mean, look at all the teams that draft guys in the first round that never make it. And you're missing guys that, maybe that we're not even drafting anymore, that we're even talking about, that these guys aren't getting drafted and they're not getting a chance. I mean, there's guys that step up all of a sudden that are drafted in the 30th round, 40th round that come out of nowhere. So it's a little bit deflating, I would say, for a kid that's trying to get there, especially, these kids that go and play D1, they're not all D1 players, but some of them are players that never get a chance. And it's,
but it's also because it's 16, 17, they're not mature.
Right.
A lot of people don't mature until the 21, 22, 23, right?
Yeah,
so they had a
25.
Or 24, 25, right? They had a great D3 career, and then they started getting bigger, stronger.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, I go to school when I went to Concordia. I mean, I got there. I probably was John's size, not 6'4", but I was same weight at that point.
About 65 when I went.
I was 170. And I came out of there after my freshman year at 195. And I gained 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour my fastball because of working out and kind of being in that mix and starting.
Budweiser.
And no,
Did I say something?
Not so much Budweiser, maybe light.
Coors Light.
Yeah, I had to watch the figure, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was that was guys just kind of step up at different times, you know, and then like that's everybody wants to know when I'm going to throw hard. That's all I ever hear, you know. I want to get more velocity. I got to know that. And to get in line, you know, they're everywhere. But if I could tell you when you're going to throw hard, I wouldn't be teaching you. I would just take money and collect it and just tell you when. So, but it happens, and they all just kind of fall in that place. Now, these guys now, the way they're doing it, they're trying to rush the system, I think. We're going to use weighted balls and all this bullshit, which you can have.
I'm really sensitive to your time because I know you got stuff to do. But
Nothing to do.
Oh, he's got nothing to do?
He's waiting for the mate to come make
I
the bet.
really want to talk about that, Willie. I'm probably going to lose a lot of love and a lot of followers. I hate overweight balls. I hate velo programs. I love arm care. I love teaching people about their arms.
Yeah.
Because I think it's irresponsible. I think not every kid is physically, mentally, emotionally mature to be throwing something when they can't lift their leg up and put it down, when they can't be in the gym and squat. But you got these programs all over the world now, and people buy into it. I'm going to be the last one. I'm not buying into it. What are your thoughts, Willie?
Never buying into it. I'm not going to ever buy into it because, in my opinion, and look, this isn't a one size shoe fits all. It's not that program. It works for some guys, and I get that. But throwing is not a natural thing. So now we're throwing a baseball. Well, let's just add some weight. Well, we're not building up a bicep for Christ's sakes. We're stretching ligaments and tendons in this process, and they can only take so much.
The muscles grow, but the ligaments and tendons do not.
Right, and they, and for having them to come back is hard. So you get these kids that are freaking cranking. I mean, cranking. You watch these programs. It's like, run as fast as you can and throw it as hard as you freaking can. Well, we're not freaking training outfielders.
What? Oh my God, Willie, you're making me so happy.
Yeah,
I can't understand what they call that a pull down.
Yeah. It's called throwing.
Where is that relevant on a baseball field?
Right.
Unless you're playing the outfield.
Right.
I had someone ask me last year, like, can you write a throwing program for me? I said, I got it. You ready? He's looked at me like I was crazy. I said, have a catch every day. Throw a bullpen once, maybe twice a week, whatever. I said, long toss a few times a week. I said, if your arm's tired, don't throw that day.
Right.
And he goes, that's it. I go, that's the work for me. I said, I don't know what else you want to do. Like I said, when I see these kids literally winging a ball backwards, I had a 10-year-old kid I worked with yesterday. This is how he's warming up.
Oh yeah.
And they threw it. I'm like, what the hell is that?
But why are we the dinosaurs? Why are we the crazy?
I asked the kid, I asked the father, I said, were you told why to do that? No. I said, you go back and ask the question and tell him I want to know the answer because I'd like to know the answer too, why I should do this before I throw. And the kid's not doing it right because he's 10. So there may be a perfect example, perfect reason to do it, but the 10-year-old has no clue what the hell he's doing, and I know he's not doing it right at all.
Right.
So it's like, just go have a catch, dude, and start warming up for a game. Let's go.
We're doing all these things, and we go, all right, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to give you these weighted balls, and we're going to have you do this. But we're not going to monitor it. We're just going to give it to you. We're going to show you one time how to do it, and that's it. Are you out of your mind? You know that's not going to end well.
I said the same example yesterday, Willie. I don't mean to cut you off. I said the same example yesterday. I asked all these dads, "You been to therapy?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I've been to therapy. Some kind of physical therapy." I remember back in the day, I'm using that body blade thing, and the guy walks by, "Oh no, your arm needs to be higher." I'm like, "Well, it's my last set, dude. Like, I just did all the sets down here. Now you're telling me it should be up here." I was like, "Thanks for nothing." So it's the same thing. Like, "Hey kid, say you throw a weighted ball, and
Well, throw a weighted ball, and then take it home with you 4 or 5 days. Do it on your own.
Right.
Where nobody's watching you. Or your father, who's a doctor or a lawyer, has no idea how to throw a baseball. They're going to tell you you're doing it right.
That's why I tell guys to send me videos all the time, so I could tell them, hey, you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong, to make the adjustments, because you don't want to just keep practicing it the wrong way.
Yeah, but you still have a flip phone, so you can't even see it.
We're gonna start going there. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think that like these kids, they want this because they see it. Kyle Doherty, who's the driveline guy, right? He was the Cincinnati Reds director of pitching a couple years ago. And I read an article where he came out and said, these guys are craving this information, the analytics, the throwing program, the weighted balls. They're craving it. And I went back and I said, you know what they're craving? The answer key to get to the big leagues. They don't get what it is. They just want to know what it is, and we'll do it. You told them they have to jump out of this building. You'll have 75% of them that will jump out of a building just to get to the big leagues, because that's what they want to do. So
my son's friend just had Tommy John, 16 years old. Just Tommy John 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Because he was in a velo program.
So the Cincinnati Reds, when Doherty was there for his 3 years, and he brought all of his pitching coaches from Driveline, they led all of baseball in catastrophic arm injuries. All of baseball, all 3 years. I'm like, yeah, they're craving that. Yeah, sure. That's what they're craving, to be on a shelf for the rest of their life, that they just try to do this because they've done it. So, I think that we're losing kids that really will never find out how good they could have been, because we're so worried about throwing when we're 11 or 9 hard. Just go and throw. Stop the.
But one of the biggest things for me, Willie, and John brought it up, and why? Why are you asking me to do this? Why are you asking me to do right? Not being nervous to ask someone I look up to the why behind it. I ask kids all the time. I love working, teaching, hitting.
Yeah.
If I see something, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I need to understand why you're doing what you're doing, who taught you, and what purpose does it serve.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I tell the kids and the parents, I said, you got any questions? Ask it. If you don't like the answer, just get up and walk. So this guy's a bum. Let me get out of here. Right. I said, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I don't have an answer why I want you to do it.
Correct.
Especially John, when I'm breaking it down with drills and stuff.
You know as well as I do the go-to thing, and Eric, you've seen it, sure. You got to use your legs more. And I say to these kids all the time, I go, so let me guess, they told you have to use your legs more. And they go, yeah. I go, and what did they tell you? How? No. I said, well, that's the first thing you ask every time, because 90% of them have just heard it, but they don't know what that means. So now we've got guys that are teaching guys to do things that you're going to get hurt. There's no other way around it. When you're pushing so friggin' hard and your arm's not even close to being ready to go, you're going to be late, you're going to get hurt. It's as simple as that. So, don't be afraid to ask the question. Be afraid if you don't get the answer, because now you have to turn and walk away from that guy.
That's like a mic drop moment right there, John.
That's pretty good. He's, like I said, a lot smarter than he was back in '85, without a doubt. And if I'm going to any classes, I mean,
this is going to be my last question for you.
I got to talk about Japan.
Go.
Playing in Japan, how that all worked out, and your experience playing in Japan, sure. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, 3 years, and then Pagarulo and I worked there for another 11.
Pag loves you, by the way.
Who's that?
Pagarulo loves you.
Pag's the best.
I don't know if you know this. So, I think I'm on a board with the Major League Alumni Association. We have an award named after Fred Valentin, one of the founder members who recently passed, and there's an award in his honor. And Pags put you up for the award.
Did he really?
You didn't get it.
No, well, of course not, because you had to vote for it. So
I did have one vote, and I did say I don't know about Willie Fraser being on the top. But that was awesome. When I saw the name, I was very cool, because I am on the committee. To be honest with you, myself and Mike Myers are on the committee, and when we saw it, and Clint Hurdle, I'm sorry, was the other, with the three of us are on that committee. But I saw your name, and it was very cool that Pax put you up for it, because Willie is a nice guy. I mean, I hate saying it to his face, but Willie is a nice guy and does a lot of nice things for the community. But
Nice
go ahead,
man.
back to playing in Japan.
Yeah, so I was fortunate. I mean, let's see, it was 94, so it's strike year, right? So I get called up and I get sent back down, and now I'm getting calls only to go play as a replacement player in that winter. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm out on that. So I got a call from a Japanese team to have a chance to go and try out for them. So I do that, and they wound up taking the other guy. Terry Bross was his name, giant freaking kid, like 6'10". So, but it intrigued me, because I was getting to the point now in the States that I was that guy. I was the guy that was in AAA that get called up, but I had enough service time that they couldn't just send me down. I could refuse the assignment. So it was always a push and a pull type of thing, and I'd had enough. My former wife was half Japanese, so her mom was from Japan. So 96 I signed back with the Angels for the third time, but I tell them when I signed it, I said, if there's an opportunity to go to Japan, I really would like the opportunity if that comes. And they said, sure. And sure as heck it did. And so I go over there and I play. Well, my teammates are Hasegawa, the relief pitcher, Ichiro, and Sotaguchi. So we were pretty good. They had gone to the Japan Series the year before. And then I get there, and I'm their one American pitcher that they had. So Troy Neal and Doug Jennings were the position players that we had there. And I was open to the whole thing until they sent me to the minors for freaking 5 weeks. Then I was not so open to it. It kind of pissed me off a little bit. Because in the way their rosters work is a little crazy. They've got a 70-man roster. 28 are in the big leagues. Everybody else is on one team in the minors. So my 3 years over there, I saw guys throw bullpens that never got in a game. I'm like, what are we doing? You're good in the bullpen. Can we just see what we got when we get out on the mound, maybe against the real guys? So, and you play down in the minor leagues, and I'm pitching every once a week. I have like a 1-something in Japan in the minor leagues. Well, no one freaking told me that you can go down whenever, but you can only be called up on the 4th of the month. So I pitched freaking my 6th game.
A lot of pissed off people on the 5th.
Oh, I'm hot. I'm fucking hot. Yeah.
He's starting pitcher on the 5th.
Yeah.
A lot of drunk guys on the 5th.
There's problems. When you're in the minor leagues there, it's a whole different animal. Like, you're riding in like the Cape, the freaking, the call car underneath the freaking special seats. You're in the bottom. You're in businessman hotel where you can shit, shower, and shave all at the same time in the bathroom. I mean, the bed's not long enough for me to lay in. It's insanity, right? And you're playing every day at 12 o'clock, hotter than balls at this point, in the summer there. It's like the Midwest heat.
Facts of being mentally tough, right?
Mentally plow through it, brother. So, I pitched my 6th game and I'm pissed, right? So like I said, I literally have a 1 ERA, and I'm like, what the? I go in, and then my pitching coach, who I got to know being there for freaking 5 weeks, he goes, "You mad, huh?" I said, "Well, I'm not happy. I don't know what the hell I'm still doing down here." So they called me up the next day because it was the 4th. I wasn't told about that until that day. That I was there for 5 freaking weeks. I'm like, you got to be me. How about all the information? Can you just give it to me all so I can just kind of play it in my head?
Process.
Yeah. So I go back up, and I had pitched like 4 games before that, before they sent me down, because they said my slide step was bad. I go, I didn't know you brought me over here for a freaking slide step. I thought you wanted me to get outs. I wasn't worried about a slide step. So I go back up, and they're like, all right, we're going to have you. And I was starting. So we're going to have you in the bullpen in the 1st inning. I go, what? What do you mean the 1st inning in the bullpen? They go, well, we're not sure about this starter if he can make it. I go, well, then let me do it. Well, I didn't know
exactly.
Why? Sure, 1st inning, I'm in the game, right? It's bases loaded. We're down 6-0. First hitter, Granny. I give up a Granny. They're probably going, you got to hit me with this guy. Get him out tomorrow. Well, we wind up going, we come back. I pitch into the 9th. And freaking we come back 10-10, and freaking I give up a triple, but the outfielder played it into a triple, one of those deals. It was a base hit, and they took me out, and then I wind up getting the loss. So now it's the All-Star break. All-Star break's not like we knew All-Star break. All-Star break's like 10 days. And like now you're going to practice and doing it, and we're like, well, all right. So I wound up finding my way onto a spot on the starting staff, and I didn't lose a game the rest of the way. We won, and we go to the Japan series. We play against Matsui's team, the Giants, and we beat them in 5 games, and everything was great, right? So next year, same up and down with the nonsense, and but in terms of being there, it was awesome. I mean, the people were great, clean people. I mean, like, I never really understood it, even though my mother-in-law at the time was Japanese. Like, she went with us the 3 years, so my kids were over there, and she was their interpreter for my wife and my kids at the time. And her family was still there, so it was great. She hadn't seen them in like 30 years, so it was awesome, and we were able to do that. But just
so what do you got for us in Japanese? Let's say here, something in Japanese.
I'm not gonna start that because that's gonna be bad for me and you and all the Japanese people that are listening.
Okay,
great.
Just wanted to see.
One of the biggest disappointments for me, Willie, was spending 3.5 weeks in Tokyo for the Olympics, but it was still kind of in COVID. So the only time we were allowed to leave the Olympic Village was a practice or a game. No fans. It was the weirdest thing because you're looking out the window of the bus going, wow, man, look at all this. I really want to see that. Right back to the village. Don't talk to anybody.
Crowds were crazy, though, weren't they, really?
Man. The fans are unbelievable, dude. It's like, every position player has his own song when he comes to the plate. And they've got their own rooting section out in the outfield. They got leaders that stand on freaking platforms and do their cheer. I go, nothing for the pitcher? I got nothing. I got to hear all their songs all the time. So, but yeah, they are great. I mean, really, beautiful country, beautiful people.
You got an actual, so it's a Japan, they give rings too for the series?
Well, we made them. So, because they don't, like, apparently when you wear rings like that, that was the mafia that did that in Japan. And,
Here too.
Whatever I need.
Just on the pinky.
That's it. Yeah, half a pinky if you're not careful. So we won, and we were like, we're going to design our own. So we did, and all the players bought one. We all bought it ourselves with our bonus. So we got a bonus, but they gave us a free trip to Hawaii, which I was not mad about, and they took care of me. Great, everything is so expensive over there. For my son to go to school was over $1,000 a month, and I had 2 apartments put together because my mother-in-law was with us. That was like $15,000 a month that they were paying for the apartments.
So you lost money playing over there.
Oh, they lost money. Yes, they did. For me playing there, but yeah, I mean, the experience and everything. I learned quickly that when you go over there, you think that your way is the way, right? The American way is the way. That's the only way to play the game. They have their way. Like the first game, Johnny, I'm on the mound and I got a runner on third, 1 out, and the infield's in. And I go, whoa. Boys, you need to back the hell up. We're on turf, number 1. Number 2, I need an out. I don't need you guys right on top of me here. And they were like, no. We're going to be. Well, come to find out, the Japanese guys put so much pressure on themselves that even adds to the pressure. And they'll pop up. They'll just do just because they feel it, right? So that's why they do that over there. Where for us, they're like, oh, this is a free one. They're going to play in. We're just going to lob it over there. So, but yeah, I mean, the game, you're not going to change them. You just have to accept the game. This is the game. This is the way it's going to be played now.
Oh, they won the world, I think, a couple of years ago. Amazing, right?
They're incredibly disciplined baseball players.
Yes.
Is it like Mr. Baseball?
Things right.
Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
To an extent, it is. Like, when I first got over there, every team had 3 Americans, or 3 foreigners, I should say. It didn't have to be Americans, but 3 foreigners. And, we would meet, because we would all a lot of times you'd all go through Tokyo. So there would be a night out at the bar that you could run into 12 guys. And, you know, all the American guys just hanging out talking about this craziness happened or this craziness happened or whatever. And you know, Tuffy Rhodes was over there. Bobby Rose was over there. Tuffy got over there the same time I did. And he wound up staying for 13 years. So, but, you know, you just kind of just live. You just are, you know. And for me as a pitcher, I was the only American pitcher. So I either had to hang out with the pitchers, so I had to learn to understand at least what the hell was going on in Japanese. Although we had an interpreter, there was one for three of us. So if I really wanted to say something, I either figured it out or found one of the Japanese guys that spoke a little English, try to explain what was going on. So by the third year, I was pretty good about understanding. I could understand what they were talking about. Now, I wasn't great answering, but if you just tried, they were going to be able to.
They appreciate that.
They appreciate it.
Was it like Tom Selleck, Mr. Baseball, a lot of calisthenics?
You know what? It's funny you say that. I had the same mindset. I'm not going to not do what you do. So whatever they did, I did. The craziest one was the one running thing, and I wound up screwing my hip up from it. Had to get it replaced later on in my life. But we did this stupid thing where freaking our running was put us between first and second in an indoor facility in Japan, and hotter than balls, right? And now it's stifling hot because we're inside in heart attack jackets. And now we're doing hit the ball over second, go get it. Hit the ball over first, go get it. Back and forth, right? And you started at 1 and you went to 10. And if you missed, you kept going until you didn't miss, right? I'm freaking shot at like 6 and we got freaking 4 more to go like this. So I dived to catch this one ball that I shouldn't have had to dive, but I wasn't going to get there. And I land on my hip. And this is, you know, I believe in acupuncture 100% because I saw it live in person. So I get up the next day and I got a lump on my hip, and I'm like, what is that? And I remembered what I did, right? So I see the trainer and he goes, all right, come see me after practice. I go, okay. So shower, go see him after practice, and he did some acupuncture, and it didn't, and I still had the pain the next day. He goes, oh, okay. You come after practice today, I'll fix it for sure. I go, all right. So I go and I'm laying down on my side, and he starts putting the needles in, and he puts it in a circle around where the lump is, right? And then he puts one right in the middle, right? And then he hooks up electrodes to these things and turns this thing on. It was like the biggest toothache you'd have for 20 minutes, you know, just freaking grinding in that one spot. The next day I woke up, the lump was gone, the pain was gone, everything was better. And I'm like, you gotta be, that's it? I would have been limping for a while at home. So, I mean, all that stuff I really believe in, and it made a difference for me. But they just do things like Pags will tell a story. You'll love this one. So Pags is over there and he dives in the first like an idiot and freaking gets his thumb pulled back, and he probably popped the ligament in his thumb, right? So he said, I'm sitting in the training room and they had this guy come in, and it was a Chinese guy in a long black coat, right? And he comes in and he's got a paper bag in his hand, and he walks in, and there's one other guy that's got a broken finger in there. And they said, who wants to go first? And Pags goes, he does. He'll go first. Let him go first. So he goes, so I'm watching this guy, and he goes into this bag and he pulls out a turtle. Right? And Pags goes, what the f*** are you going to do with this turtle? Right? And all of a sudden, he's got a scalpel, and he's trying to cut the turtle's head off. But every time he goes to cut it off, Pags goes, the turtle's pulling his head back in the shell. Right? So this guy's going and missing and missing and missing. So finally he pulls the freaking turtle's head off and cuts it, and he takes the turtle's blood and puts it into a cup. And then he puts the needles in the cup with the blood. Pags says to the interpreter, he goes, what the hell is he doing now? He goes, oh, special. This is a special thing. He goes, oh, okay. So the guy with the broken finger puts his hand down, and he goes, and this Chinese guy takes the needle and he sticks it in his finger, and this guy is freaking screaming. He goes, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go back to the States and get my thumb handled. He goes, I don't need any turtle blood. I don't need any of that. I'm good. I'm going to take it to the house. He goes, this guy showed up. He goes, no, it's going to be good. We'll fix it. He goes, how? You're sticking a needle in my hand with turtle blood. Is that going to do it? That's it? Magical?
Big.
He said that
They're
was
big on
it.
turtle blood there.
Turtle blood. You need turtle blood.
I've been to Taiwan where they use it for other things as well. You walk down the street, they go, "Here, you drink this. You be strong."
Oh, yeah. Good condition. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Willie, listen, man. I truly, I can't thank you enough for being here. I look forward to it. I know you know this guy forever. John has only always talked about you with great admiration. Other than he said, the first time he met you, he kind of did think you were an asshole a little bit. I don't see
feeling mutual. So
I don't see any of that in you. When you're home in the off season, I'd love to do another show in person. I'd love to get you in here. Sure. We're 40 minutes from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
I'll even have John buy you dinner afterwards.
Oh boy,
Not me, brother.
I'm in
Not
it.
Me.
Yeah, well, then I'm in for sure.
Awesome.
Great job with the F-bombs today. You couple it out, but you did a good job.
I pulled them back a little bit for you, Johnny.
And listen, being that you were a scout, I gotta have this answer here. I'm gonna ask 3. Best hot dog. All these stadiums you've been in all your life. Best hot dog.
Come on, John. I can't eat hot dogs. Look at this body. Do you think
best hot dog. Let's go. Best hot dog. Let's go. Come on, you gotta have a hot dog somewhere. Best hot dog.
You know what? I'm a fan of. I'm not a fan of the Dodger dog. You can have it. I mean, I'll come to New York and have a hot dog any day of the week for me.
There we go. Hot pretzel. Hot pretzel.
Hot pretzel again.
Has to be New York.
I got to be in New York.
Coldest beer. Last one. Coldest beer.
Coldest beer. At the ballpark, I can't tell you. I'm not allowed to do that. That's illegal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sure.
I mean, that's what my friends come to.
Way to get him fired.
And they'll go.
He has his own personal solo cup.
Hey, listen,
he definitely has a to-go cup for sure.
I'm going to go get a beer and a hot dog. You want a beer? Hey, Jack, when you're at work, do you have a beer? No, I can't.
No comment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I thought he would go with Japan because they have Kobe hot dogs there as well. Kobe beef
I don't
hot
know about
dogs.
that. They got Kobe beef there, though, and that's no joke, my friend.
Yeah.
That's one of the prizes you get if you really do well.
Absolutely.
They'll give you a box of Kobe beef, and you're like, what? Huh? And I'm not, as you can see, you don't get this size by not having the beef.
Really, I can't thank you enough, brother. Like I said, it's laughs all the time whenever I'm around you. That's why I wanted to have you on today because you're awesome, but also like on the serious side to help all these kids that are going to listen and have them have a clue of what it takes to get to the next level. It was all great stuff and really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you when you're back in town.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me and keep up the good work. I mean, the message needs to get out there to these kids. They need to understand that, there's other ways and there's better ways to do things. So, but I can't thank you guys enough for having me. I really had a good time, enjoyed it. And John, you're one of the best. I appreciate you.
Safe travels, brother.
Thanks again, Willie.
Be well.
Thanks, Eric.